prices are finally cooling off around the hobby. Demand is still insanely strong, but not the same, but it's still very strong. And some people are worried, some people are excited and buying the dip. And it's finally time to look at the charts and find out what's going on. When we did our last analysis in March, when the hobby was still going relatively strong, I noted that the market was showing a lot of uncertainty, and I adjusted from being an aggressive buyer, and in an effort to stay prudent and disciplined, I changed to a more defensive mindset. Since then, we've seen a lot of prices come down around the hobby, and once again, this doesn't mean that demand or that the hobby is necessarily slowing down, because obviously there's still huge demand, but this is more reflective of the prices were just getting a little too high for a lot of people, whether as someone buying cards or maybe as a seller where prices are getting so high it gets very tempting to sell. And this results in a lot of cards trading sideways or going down in price. And yes, there are some cards that are still going up, but generally that seems to be more of an exception than the rule. Now, the price drops have been generally fairly modest in my opinion when you consider how high prices went and for how long they went, but the market movement is still very significant. Evolution's booster boxes are down, a lot of Modern Sealed has finally seen some retraces, McDonald's prices are also down, Shining Fates has cooled off heavily, the list really goes on. And restocks are also starting to hit store shelves, and that's helping to push prices down, and it keeps things very interesting at retail stores. And you might be wondering why we didn't look at the charts for so long, and the reason is because there really wasn't a lot to say. But now the activity that I was looking for has finally arrived. I did warn Patreon members twice in April that I did expect lower prices and a retest of lower support levels, and we are now actually seeing this come to fruition. If this is your first time here, I'm Kakashi with Canto Capital, and if you enjoy these videos, take a moment to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff that the YouTube overlords want. And if you want my deeper dive insights into the market, private Q&A videos, more breakdowns on the hobby, and cards I like each month, then check out Patreon. The link is in the description. It's a great way to show your support for the channel, and it's a great way to directly help out. So let's break down what has happened and why after almost 2 months we're finally ready for the next market analysis. The chart we're looking at is the base set unlimited PSA 9 Charizard, and this first zone is a support area we had established about 6 months ago in December. Yes, we charted this support area almost 6 months ago for those of you who've been watching this channel for a while. Now, what's important about this area is that I originally noted this as a weak zone of support. Since then, we built a much stronger baseline over the last several months. But this week, we finally broke down below, and our weekly candle actually closed below the support area. And it's important to see these candles close because we want stronger price confirmation of this movement rather than just a random volatility or 1 or 2 sales significantly affecting our data. Now, for example, you can see that we did break down below several times in the last 20-25 weeks where we've broken down below the support area, but we did end up holding each time as the candle actually closed. And so it actually held these support areas the entire time. Well, that is until now. In Patreon, I had charted out a consolidation range in April that we had built up nicely over these last few months. And we held this zone for a very long time, and that's why I considered it significant enough to chart it out. And we did finally break below this point as well. Now, we also had a notable break of a wedge pattern that I also charted for patrons in that same time in April. And we're now seeing a follow through from that breakdown. Now, breaking below these areas is significant because our next area of support is what I consider the most important. When this channel first started, I talked about this area and how significant it was almost 8 or 9 months ago. That's when this channel first started. And now we are back close to this area again for maybe another test. So for those of you who have actually watched all of my videos or seen most of my market analysis actually play out in real time, hopefully you can start to see how effective this type of analysis is and why I'm able to accurately call a lot of market movement. I won't always be right, like I've said many times, but I think I have a pretty good track record. And for young markets like Pokemon, which is a very simple market, analysis is, quite frankly, it's just a lot easier and much easier than more complex markets like on Wall Street, for example. Now, what does this breakdown mean for us? I mentioned in March, well before all of this recent price movement, that I was shifting into a defensive position. Now, there are a lot of ways that you can approach this current market environment. If you think we are near the bottom and you think prices might go up from here, then maybe you start getting aggressive and you fill positions, because if you think this is a low, for example, then buying low tends to be a pretty good idea. But if you think, for example, $1,000 for a base set PSA 9 Charizard is still too high and too expensive, and you expect prices to drop back to $300, then maybe it would be a wise choice to wait. Now, for me personally, my approach will be more of a defensive / accumulation mindset. And this is different from before, and it's a very fine difference. It's hard to explain, but the reality is that this is not traditional markets. This is not the stock market. In traditional investing, I can buy whatever company I want on any trading day. I'm not limited on what I can buy due to rarity or demand, for example. If I want it, I can get it. Whereas with Pokemon, there are extra limitations. So sometimes if a card comes up that I rarely see that I am targeting, maybe I have to make an entry, even if I think the prices might still come down, because I don't know if or when I might see that card again. And I have explained this thought process and other details and my mindset in much more detail on Patreon if that's something that interests you. But generally, what I'm personally doing is staying defensive. I'm limiting my purchases to cards that I think are safe or that I'm very, very comfortable holding long term. But the difference this time is that my thought process is also on accumulation. Now that prices are settling down, I am watching for cards that do not hit the market as often. And if the price is right based on what I see, I will build a position or add to my position, even if there is a risk of prices continuing to fall. I think long term, I am very bullish on Pokemon long term. So prices going down in the short term is something I am personally very comfortable with. If you think prices will go up, then you have nothing to fear. And for me personally, again, I am long-term bullish on the hobby. And here's what's important. When you see prices going down on something that you believe in, something that you believe will be worth more in the future, then you should be excited when prices come down. If you think a card should be worth $1,000, and let's say it's selling for $300 today, and then it drops in price, you should be even more excited, because in your mind, a $1,000 card just dropped in price and now it's selling for even cheaper. And because the lower you buy, the bigger your profits. We want to what? Buy low and sell high. I had a similar approach last year when the country shut down and the stock market dumped in price. I bought into the fear and into the panic, and that ended up being a yearly low, and I got some great positions in fantastic companies. And if you buy the right cards, you buy the right companies, you buy the right investments, then prices dropping is great. It's on sale. It's a discount on something that you like. And this translates to all markets. It doesn't matter if it's the stock market, Pokemon, comics, collectibles, you pick the market. It works. So with all of that said, looking at the market conditions, looking at the charts, I will be in a defensive / accumulation mindset. I'm looking for safe entries and the right opportunities. Now, if you think the Pokemon card hobby is only going to get bigger and that the hobby will continue to grow, then be patient and have confidence. And when you see opportunity come your way, the most important part is to follow through and to seize that opportunity. If you enjoy the content, like, subscribe, leave a comment. You can also directly support the channel just by joining Patreon. After you join, you'll get in-depth breakdowns, exclusive videos, cards I like, all that stuff every single month. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kakashi with Kanto Capital. Buy low, sell high, and I'll see you in the next video.